So I think even in the first and second movie, Sidney kind of believed what the villains were saying, right? When the villains explained their big motive, she kind of accepted that this is what they were doing, I think. And now she just doesn't buy any of it. She just, oh, this is just an excuse. You are a murderer because you want to be. Nobody made you do this. This is all on you, and I'm not giving you the out for 1 second. Like you own this, right? That is her big speech, and then in the next minute she beats the crap out of him, right? Because he's lost all his power, because his nonsense was the only thing he had going for him, right? That's like the big confrontation between Sidney and Ghostface, right? If he's saying that it's been him all along, then that kind of is the victory over all Ghostfaces, right? It's just like the entire thing falls apart, and it's just a guy with a knife who wants to be important and who wants his feelings to make sense, right? And that's all that's left. And then she beats the crap out of him.
Yeah.
And that's the victory, right? And then the end prize of that is that she's no longer afraid, right? The reason I'm not really interested in Screams 4 and onwards is because I think this ending is perfect. I've said before that I think endings are really important. Like a movie with a bad ending is like a joke without a punchline, right? And if you mess up your ending, it's like messing up the punchline to a joke. It just ruins the entire thing. Right? Like, again, Game of Thrones, 7 seasons of mysteries and build-up, and 1 season of nonsense destroys all 8 seasons. Yeah, right? Because without the answer, the question is meaningless. Right? So if you have a story that, like, this is especially true for stories that are built around questions, if the answer never comes, or if the answer is nonsense, then the entire thing falls apart. So for that reason, I think endings are really important, and it baffles my mind that so many writers don't seem to think so, that they don't seem to craft their stories around leading up to the ending, which is supposed to be the point. You know, there's like with a TV show, like you never know how many seasons you're going to get and stuff like that. But with a movie, I don't think there's an excuse. Other than the production process is just messed up, where you like nobody can work properly because you're constantly dodging wrenches that are being thrown at you, right? So for that reason, I think endings are important, and most movies are bogged down, if not outright ruined, by bad endings. And so when a movie comes along that has a pitch perfect ending, where Sidney, who has lived has lived the last 4 years or whatever it is, like in fear, and every move she's made is trying to stay 2 steps ahead of the next psycho who wants to kill her, and trying to kind of live her life as best she could, while at the same time kind of controlling, like she never lets her guard down, she never takes any risks, she never, like especially in 2 and 3, like she never does anything that could make her vulnerable. And now she not only can enjoy a scary movie with friends, but when the door kind of swings open again, she's okay, it's safe, nothing bad lurking in the bushes, right? Because the bad guy is gone. And that is kind of symbolic of her having overcome her issues of these experiences, right? It's dominated her life for 4 years, and now it's done, it's over, she's won, the danger is gone, she can relax. Fade to black. Perfect ending. Right? And that is why I don't think any further, that's why I have such high expectations for further Scream movies, is that's what you have to follow up. Right? You have to continue on from that. Like, even if you're leaving, like saying, okay, Sidney Prescott's story is over. Now we're telling another story with similar themes and sensibilities, and still Scream, but it's now somebody else's story because the first one is finished. But you have to follow up this perfect ending. That is just, it does everything it needs to. It says what it needs to. It makes sense. It's satisfying. There's no improving it. I think it's a great movie. The entire trilogy is. And this is one of the few trilogies, trilogy has basically become a marketing term, where just make 3 movies and it's a trilogy. And this is actually a trilogy because of Sidney's character arc, where she starts off, where she ends up. That's a complete story. And that's why it's not just 3 movies with the same characters, it's actually a trilogy. And those are pretty rare, right? You can probably count them on 3 hands or something. And for that reason, this is the Scream story for me.